All right, guys, another episode of Talking Prep. So are we ready, Coach Rick?
Yes, sir.
Randall?
Always.
Always. Here we go. All right, Randall, take it away. Who are your rock stars?
Tiana and Kiana Pettis, we're going to start there. Tiana had 29 points, 13 rebounds, 8 steals, and 4 assists the other night. Kiana added on with 27 points, 13 rebounds. A big win for them over East Gaston. Next up, Autumn Washington's career night. She had 37 points and 16 rebounds and a win versus South Met.
That's a school record.
Clark.
Yes. That's a school record, by the way, for School record.
Sophomore Myasia Clark, she had a career high 32 points and 10 rebounds. Friday night versus West Charlotte. Kiera Anderson at East Lincoln had 33 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists, and a win over North Lincoln. And last but certainly not least, our Randall's rock star of the week, Miss Grayson Goff from Charlotte Catholic. Grayson had 28 points Friday night versus Providence and scored her 1,000th career point.
Grayson, tell us what it's like to score 1,000 points. A lot of kids don't do that. What was that like?
Honestly, it was a great moment. I was really excited just because I was out my freshman year, so I wasn't sure if being part of the 1,000-point club was going to be achievable, but definitely accomplishing it on Friday was a great moment. And surrounded by my teammates and coaches and friends and family, it was a great moment and just a lot of excitement and a lot of happiness. But back to work now. We got some big games coming up.
Yeah, let's talk about that. You got Independence coming up on Tuesday. That's probably going to be for the conference championship. What do you guys have to do to kind of, get a hold of that game and get a hold of that race? Well,
Independence, they're a tough team with great guards, some great inside players as well, and great coaches. So overall, we've just been really focusing on our defense and executing a lot too on offense, just because as long as we execute and get what we need to do, we overall play pretty well together. And also too, just making sure that we stay locked into what our coaches are telling us and focusing on the little things and just emphasizing our discipline, communicating on defense. And the last time we played them, we won by 2 points, and we played them away. So I'm excited to play on our home court, and it should be a good game. So I'm really excited. Game gets super intense, a lot of passion and emotion. So it should be a fun one.
Grayson, with this being your last rodeo, your senior year, can you talk a little bit about like the differences in this team and in teams of the past so far that you've been a part of as a Charlotte Catholic Cougar?
Yeah, so I definitely think this year has been the most special year just because with majority of our team being seniors, we've been playing together for so long. So we know that this is our last ride together. So I think this year we're all super excited and have been on the same page since day one. I think this year we entered the season with a different mindset and have been playing more together, more intense. And especially with this team, honestly, like anyone can go off on a night. Like anyone is capable of having a great night. It's honestly just whoever's getting hot, and we share the ball really well together. It's a lot of unselfish teammates. And the coaching staff has been great, giving us a lot of key things each season. But this one's definitely been my favorite.
You guys have been so close the last couple of years. I mean, how hungry does that make you to kind of get past that regional championship and get all the way home?
It's been tough losing 2 years in a row in the Final Four, but we have the experience. We know what we need to do to get back to that moment. And I think losing 2 years in a row, we know that, all right, third year, if we are lucky, if we get to the Final Four, and that's our big goal, is to get past it this year and hopefully get a state championship. We really need to focus on, like I said, our discipline, doing the little things and doing what we do. Because Catholic basketball, when we do everything we need to do, I think that we're a really good team, and it's hard to stop us because we have shooters inside the game. But definitely losing it left a bad taste in our mouth, and so we know what that feels like, and we don't want to feel like that again. So
yep. Absolutely.
Right.
Listen, Best of luck to you guys on Tuesday night, and good luck the rest of the season. Thanks for joining us. All right, appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care.
Bye.
So, Randall, we're going to talk about that Independence game in a little while, but talk about Grayson's performance so far this year. She's had a really good year.
She has had a really big year. Grayson is one of those kids that she has an ability to score at all three levels. So she can go down to the block and she can score on the inside, but she can also knock down the three. Does a great job running the floor, really hunts for shots. Mm-hmm. So she's really been big for Catholic, and having a big night like she had last night, not really a surprise to many.
Yeah. All right, let's switch it to the boys. Rick, who you got as your Rick's picks for the players of the week?
Well, we'll start off with 6'3" senior Amari Bethel. He's had a really good year for Charlotte Country Day. In this particular game against Charlotte Christian, he had 22 points, 5 steals, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks, and he just has a complete all-around game. He's super explosive and very athletic, and he's led, like I said, Country Day to a nice season so far.
Yeah.
Next up is 6'2" senior Grant Hamilton of Weddington. He's going to Roanoke, which is one of the better D3s in the ODAC. But he's had a really good week. He finished with 30 points Friday night, and believe it or not, no 3-pointers, and he had 20 points on Tuesday night, leading Weddington to a 17-1 and 4-0 conference record. And I see them having no problem winning their conference tournament or regular championship.
And Cam had a chance to catch up with Grant after that big game on Friday. Let's hear from him.
Well, they came out in threes and just playing good, and we know we had to make some, kind of like stick to this guy on the board. And we just knew it was a big game, and me and KJ came out, and all of us did our job and did our role and just performed well.
Yes.
Yes, sir. My shot wasn't falling today. I only shot 2 threes, but I still had. I think I had 30 points, but it was all on the inside. I wanted to be known for more than just a shooter, and I think I proved it tonight.
Is he more than just a shooter, Rick?
He's sneaky athletic. You'll see that later on.
All right, keep going.
Well, next up is 6'0" sophomore Cameron Newman of Gaston Christian, and he's one of the better point guards in the sophomore class. But he had 29 points against rival Westminster. And if you look at Gaston Christian, coached by former Duke's standout Chris Duhon, their record is 15-13 for the season, but this is a situation where Chris Duhon has embellished, playing the toughest schedule he possibly can for this young group. This is a young man that you really pay attention to because he's crafty. He provides great leadership on the court, and he's a point guard you're going to hear a lot about down the road. Next up is 6'4" senior Shamari Johnson. Anytime you have a player that almost averages a double-double of 15.3 points a game and 9.8 rebounds, but he had a game-high 24 points Friday night in what we thought was an upset against East Meck at East Meck. Rocky River's right around 500 for the season.
Yeah, and Rick, our photographer, Jeff Signer, got some really good video of the end of that game and in the locker room. Let's take a look. That game can mean a lot for them going to the playoffs later on this year. But go ahead, Rick. Who's our last?
Well, that film right there just shows you how exciting public high school basketball is. And you look at the fan support. All these rivalry games, they have capacity filled crowds, and then the excitement. And Rocky River's right around 500, and just see the excitement of that team in the dressing room. Yep. It tells you everything is good about high school basketball.
Absolutely.
And of course, my player of the week is 6'5", super athletic. He's a junior, Trey McKinnon. He's had 2 really good games on the road. Against Mooresville on Tuesday night, 26 points, 7 rebounds, and then 15 points Thursday night against Hickory Ridge. And the thing that I really have noticed about him, he's always been super athletic, but the game on Tuesday night, he was playing above the rim quite a bit. So here's a young man that already has an offer from Appalachian State. He's a solid mid-major prospect, but has a tremendous ceiling because he has high major athleticism.
Well, Trey, tell us about the season so far and your 2 big games last week.
Definitely this season we getting off to a good start with, I believe, 17-1. We all just came together. We all just bought in with Coach Hodges and basically just said we all want to win. We all have one goal is to win states this year. So we all buying in. So that's pretty good for all of us.
Yeah, tell me, what's that 4A state title run going to look like through the West? I mean, with you guys in Weddington and Myers Park and North Meck and Chamber, I mean, there's so many good teams. What's that going to be like trying to deal with all that heat coming up through the West? And not to mention the teams down in Winston-Salem area.
It's definitely gonna be crazy because I know North Meck they got some good players on their team. But Myers Park, the reigning championship the runner-ups were, so that'd be pretty good. We lost to Weddington down in Rick Lewis's tournament, but we're definitely able to beat them again. So that's what we're looking forward to. But yeah. we have some for North Meck when they come.
Absolutely, Rick. What you got?
Well, Trey, 2 things. First of all, Coach Hodges has really challenged your team at the beginning of the season. If you look at the RPI rankings on the NCHSAA and also on Max Prep, you guys have played one of the toughest schedules in the state. So elaborate on that. And also, number 2, since last year, what's the biggest improvement in your overall game?
With the RPI schedule, we're just basically just trying to hold our own, just taking one game at a time because we know it was going to be a hard schedule coming into the season with Cannon and teams like that. So that was going to be pretty hard. But what I really got better at is just trusting my teammates more and not trying to force every bucket, just being calm and trying to play more defense and rebound and stuff like that.
Well, I was going to say the biggest improvement in your game that I've noticed since last year is on the defensive side on the court. And also with Lake Norman, the thing that's very impressive is the balance that your team has. You guys have 4 players in double figures, and then you got your little point guard, Nick Arnold, who's just a pest out there on defense. But, I've watched y'all several times, and you guys are my dark horse, for the state championship.
Sir, thank you.
Well, Trey,
T-shirt, by the way.
Yeah, I was just about to make the same comment. You picked a good T-shirt to wear when Rick Lewis on the show wearing one of the phenomenal T-shirts, and you shouted him out for having a good tournament. So you just won a lot of gold points, Rick. Hey man, listen, good luck to you guys the rest of the year. Hopefully we catch you down the road. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Randall, that 4A West is gonna be something else, man.
It's going to be fun when we get down to it. As long as everything stands packed, I think it's going to make things very, very interesting in the playoffs.
Stands pat. All right, let's talk about some girls basketball.
Oh, yes, it's ladies' night, and the feeling's right. Oh, yes, it's ladies' night. Oh, what a night.
All right, Randall, what's the games of the week?
Games of the week this week, we already talked about it a little bit. Independence at Catholic. Independence going to try to get a little revenge as they lost the first matchup at home, 50-48. Always a fun game. 2 teams that really love to compete and love to play against each other. Should be a great atmosphere and a great environment for sure. Also Tuesday night, Marvin Ridge is at Porter Ridge. Porter Ridge sitting in second right now. Going to try to find a way to win at home. They lost to Marvin by 6 points in the first meeting, so this should be another good game. Next up, we got South Point at Lancaster. As we know, South Point, they have really been on fire. Very young basketball team.
17 in a row.
17 in a row. Maya Graham is a walking double-double for them. Should be a very, very competitive game Tuesday night. Then we get Mallard Creek at North Meck. Mallard Creek finally getting healthy. It seems like things are really starting to roll for them. We talked about my Asia's big performance the other night. Yeah. So this should be a really good game. And as Mallard Creek tries to, and they're gonna try to put it. They're starting to play some of their best basketball around the time of year that you really want to. Yeah. And then last but not least, Stuart Kramer at South Point, round 2. Round 1 certainly did not disappoint with Miss Holland and Miss Graham. So this is the game I'm really going to be paying attention to Friday night.
No, that's going to be a really good game. The 2 best players at Gastonia, 2 of the best players in North Carolina. Maya Graham needs to start. You need to start thinking about getting Maya Graham on that basketball. She's having a huge year. Like 16 double-doubles in 18 games. I mean, that's just absolutely.
Oh yeah, she's been really filling the stat sheet for sure.
Absolutely. All right, Rick, let's flip it on the boys' side. What we got?
Independence, Preston Davis, 14-4, and also 6-0 in conference, going up against Charlotte Catholic, and this will be an interesting matchup. You know, Preston Davis has Indy in the driver's seat for the conference regular season championship, going up against who I thought was going to be the favorite, which was Charlotte Catholic.
Rick, Independence a little mad they're not in the Sweet 16. I'm just saying.
Huh?
Independence a little mad they're not in the Sweet 16. I'm just saying.
They're working their way up.
Okay.
They're working their way up.
All right.
Next up, you have Kings Mountain. This is really a tough conference. It's a Big South 3A. Kings Mountain's going on the road at Ashbrook. Ashbrook has only lost one game, and Ashbrook needs this game because they have a big Friday night matchup against Crest, who this will be the battle for, first place in the Big South 3A.
Mm.
And then we have a battle of private schools. You have Concord Academy. They're sitting at 15-14.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, they had they were below 500 going into the state playoff, and they actually won the state. But one thing about Frank Canadori is he always challenges team to play a very tough schedule.
And I was going to say he does a really good job, Coach Frankie, about getting his guys to play, like Randall was saying about Mallory earlier, play your best basketball at the right time. They always find a way to turn it up at the end of the year. To your point, they started out kind of 500 one year and won a state. I mean, and he's won several state championships.
He has. And the other thing, too, is he's had some injuries begin the season. A couple players that haven't been able to play this year, and he's had some other injuries. So they've sort of been injury bug, with this season. But they're starting to come on. They're in first place in their conference, and they're going up against Gaston Day. And Gaston Day is really a surprise team. If you look at their record, they're 16-9 and 8-4 in the conference. And the new coach over there has done a really good job of putting them in position in that particular conference. And then Friday night, we have really two big matchups. I mean, Crest is 13-1. They lost their first game of the season. They've won 13 consecutive games, and they go to Ashbrook, and this will be the game that will determine who wins the Big South 3A championship. And that is a very, very good conference. We probably don't talk about that conference enough. And then the nightcap, to me, which is one of the best games all week, is Covenant Day. Covenant Day is 16-4, 4-1 in the conference, and I can't tell you what a great job Michael Laney has done at Covenant Day.
They're the hottest team in North Carolina, Rick, or the hottest team in Western North Carolina. Let's at least.
Well, you know what? In the private, I would say so, because within the last 7 to 10 days, they beat Christ School, which was the defending state, champions, and then they went and beat the other night. They beat Cannon by 26.
50, yeah.
I saw that score, and I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't. I mean, because you look at the lineup, Covenant Day has really good players, but it's basically really, really balanced. But they really, really good defense. They're one of the better defensive teams in the area. Providence Day, they're sitting at 18-6, 4-1. So this is a battle who gets first place in the Independence Conference that they're in at the private school level. So this should be a really good game. And
Rattles this first to 40 or first to 50?
This one's probably going to be first to 40.
First to 40.
This one might be first to 40 Friday night for sure.
Rick, you agree with that? Low scoring game?
Absolutely. Both these teams are very methodical on the offensive end, and both of them really emphasize defense. So it would be like the Independence game we said against Butler. The first team, the 50 wins.
Yeah. Wasn't that like 39-36 or something?
Yeah.
It was crazy. All right, time for the round table. Here we go. All right, so my question to you guys, realignment's coming to North Carolina next year, 2025. What do you think are the best things the NCHSAA can do and Charlotte area schools can do with realignment in terms of building conferences, in terms of thinking about playoffs? What do you guys think? What's the best thing we can do?
Well, if the public schools sort of copy the version, I know in the Charlotte area, they have that Metrolina conference.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a conference that have multiple classifications in it.
Mm-hmm.
But, they play each other because of geographic area. But then again, after the season, they go into the classification.
Yeah.
I do think it would give some of these other schools that doesn't have a chance to compete against the Myers Park, North Mex, the Chambers, Lake Normans, the Weddingtons, a better opportunity to have more success at the playoff time.
Randall, would you like to see like some crossover with Iredell County into Mecklenburg County? Again, I know that wasn't really something that the Iredell schools liked when they did it before, but now, with 8 classes, some of those larger schools are going to be forced probably to try to join the Charlotte Conference.
I think because you're going to 8 classifications, they're definitely going to be forced to. So I think it would make the most sense to have a little bit of that crossover. You're never going to make everybody happy. It doesn't matter how you do it or what you do. You're never going to make everybody happy. So I think the most important thing is doing what makes the most sense.
And what makes the most sense?
I think crossing people over, making some of those bigger schools are going to have to play some of these bigger, CMS schools.
And on the girls' side with CMS, do you think it's a good time for them to kind of rejigger the conferences and bounce them a little bit better? So
they just did. That's the problem. Like, you just did it this year with the realignment of the conferences. So I don't know if you're going to be able to go right back and do it again, but something on the girls' side definitely has to change. We're already down enough, especially in girls basketball. Now you're going to 8 classifications. It's only going to make it even more watered down. So you have to make something has to happen in order to A, keep things competitive, but B, make it to where these teams are ready to go at the end of the season.
Well, I think the problem when you start trying to build conferences, when you start trying to think about putting traditionally strong teams in one conference, everybody's not going to go to the playoffs. So if I'm strong team A, I don't want to be in a conference with 4 other strong teams, because then only 3 of us can make the playoffs, and one of us is going to be sitting home. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'd rather be at the conference I'm in. And what do you say to that coach when you're trying to do that?
It just has to logistically make sense. And I think a lot of times when we look at these realignments, I don't necessarily think that the way we realigned things this year really made sense. But it's hard. I don't know if there's a perfect answer for that question either.
Well, the changes this year were just because, we had some teams drop down in the 3A. Rick, going to the state playoffs, what would you like to see the state do as we try to go deal with 8 state championships and 8 playoffs every year? What would you like to see them do?
As far as moving to 8?
They're moving to 8. I'm saying, how would you like to see them handle it?
That is a good question. And I don't know whether I have a good answer for that or not, Langston. That is 8 divisions is a lot. It is going to, I think Randall said it best. It's going to get watered down to some.
Everybody make the playoffs. There's 50-some teams in every classification. Did everybody make the playoffs? Just 32. You can have a shorter playoff season, allow you more games.
Yeah, that's a good point. If it's a shorter season, allow some of these teams to play extra games outside their conference and play more meaningful games. That would be a plus without a question. Yeah,
maybe you could look. South Carolina has really small conferences, and then they have more non-conference games that allows you, because in 8 classifications, let's say that Independence is playing Catholic this week. That's a big rivalry game. But say Catholic becomes a 5A school, Independence becomes an 8A school, they're not going to be playing each other anymore. But if you have a shorter playoff season, that would allow you to still keep that game if you chose to, or you go out of town and go play Spring Valley or somebody. You could do something different.
But you don't think some of these conferences are going to have multiple classifications within one conference? Like even in the one conference, you have West Charlotte's a 3A that's participating in a 4A conference. Right. And you have some of those, you have quite a few dual conferences throughout the state. I think you'll still have to have some of those.
Well, we got Gary joining us. Gary, what do you think of what the NCHSAA can do with the new realignment to make it better? We're talking about what would they do in playoffs if you got 50 some odd teams in the playoff class? Should everybody get to the playoffs?
Ooh. What can they do? Hey, give me a chance to think on this one.
Right to the fire. You checked in, you coming in the fire.
What's the best thing they could do? The realignment. Oh man, I'd say they just take the top 8 from this area. You put a number, you put a cap on it. I don't want it to be entirely open, because you're gonna have 2 or 3 rounds of no competition.
Right. So if there's 50, I don't know what the number is. It says 55 teams in the classification. You going to just take 32, 16, and 16 and play it out? Because if you do that, you have more regular season games potentially you can play.
I like that idea of whittling it down to 16 on each side, because you want to see competition in the playoffs. You don't want to see blowouts.
Yeah,
and I think that's the best way you get competition is by keeping the numbers down.
And what do you say to the coach who says, "You keeping me out? You're not giving me a chance"? Because I was going to be that wild card, at large guy or girl.
Well, if you said 32, how about 40? And then you have 4 wild cards on each side.
I can see that.
And then that way, what you're really doing is rewarding the conference champs at the same time.
They get a week off or a game off.
They get a bye, and those wild cards take the place of those teams that have the bye.
Here's something that you mentioned this, I don't know, last week before. If we are going to have fewer teams per classification, that probably is going to mean the conference is going to be smaller. It's probably going to mean you have less conference games. That could open the CMS up to the idea you had, an idea I've always had, is to have a city championship. Can you imagine how exciting it would be if you had a city championship and you played it out at Grady Cole, at Independence Arena or Charlotte or wherever it is, and you have all the teams come together? You can introduce your all-conference teams, your players of the year, give them their trophies and whatnot, all on the court. CMS will make a ton of money, which they probably could use. And the media attention will be incredible.
Because what's not exciting is these 30 and 40 point first round blowouts that you see in a conference tournament. Because nobody's going, on Fridays. And I long-term sub up at Hopewell, and people come up to me, teachers and students, what game you going to tonight? What game you going to tonight? And if I don't think it's going to be competitive, either at a top girls game or a top boys game, if I don't get that double header where both games are going to be a little bit competitive, I tell them I'm going to watch it on the computer. I don't want to.
If I said in the last 10 years, how many times has there been truly an upset in the conference tournament? I would say it's less than 3. Would you agree with that?
I would definitely agree with that.
Maybe even less than that. I can almost tell you when the conference tournament starts who's going to be in the championship game. And a lot of times it's a rehash of the game we saw the Friday before, because they always had the big game the Friday before. But
in fact, I can only remember once, and it involved my team. We were the defending Western Conference champs, and we had a lot of injuries and a major transfer during the season, and we finished the regular season in 5th place. And but we got healthy in time for the tournament, and we went from 5th place to winning the tournament, and we jumped to number 2 to stay out of the notorious McDowell bracket.
Having to go to McDowell.
Yeah. And we stayed out, and everybody else under the regular season champ bumped down one, and the coach was like, "Oh God, you just put us in the McDowell bracket."
All right, if CMS is to have a city championship, you know who should help run it? That guy.
I know you love it. I'll be happy to run it.
I'm talking about Rick Lewis.
Hey, we can both do it, Gary.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, CMS will make a ton of money. They could put it back into the coaching stipends. They could do whatever they want to do. You could charge, $10 a night, and it would be incredible to have that. Maybe you could do it like a regional. You have like the first round of regional sites at different high schools, and then you get to the Final Four and you bring them into Charlotte or Independence Arena. Where I wish CMS would build a big gym. But I think that and then every year, somebody from your city is going to win the big championship. They get the big trophy, and that's something I think they will remember. Like I said, the media coverage would be incredible. I know from one source at least, the media coverage would be incredible. So, we'll see.
It used to be like
great for high school basketball in the area.
Yeah, well, no, I mean Gary's point at Bojangles when they used to do that, it was crazy. They would have it was 2 nights. but each night was
No,
at
it
least
was one
5, 6
night, but it was only it was only 2 conferences.
That's what it was. Okay, but yeah, it was.
So
They had
on
good crowds.
Friday, you would play the 2 girls championship games.
Yeah.
The first one would be at 4, and then the next one would be at 5:30, and then you play the 2 boys championship games. And everybody stayed. Nobody left. So by 7 o'clock, I mean, it would be 6,000-7,000 people out there, and the kids loved it. And I like the idea that you add the conference.
Oh, I would definitely announce my all conference teams and let the kids get some recognition. You know, give them their trophies or whatever they get, and let the PA announcer call it Gary Richmond is the Player of the Year from the SOMEC. You know, let them hear that and feel that. And like I said, that would be on television. Those guys would film that and put it on television. I just think in CMS needing money for sports, that would certainly help do that. You know, I might even charge $1 surplus on that event to help out.
You know, the more recognition we can give to the players and the teams within, you know, the public schools, the better. Yeah. It's only going to make it even that much more successful down the road.
Absolutely. Well, the other thing is the private schools, we want to get involved. You do it too well, but that's a whole nother topic.
I wanted to mention one thing too. You know, you talk about having everybody in the comp, or, you know, go to the playoffs. You have that situation in the private school, the NCHSAA.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you have everybody gets to go to the playoffs, and the first and second round, the blowouts are just unbelievable. Yes. They're 50, 60 point losses. Yes. It doesn't do anyone any good to play those games.
Especially when you got to go on that bus and ride 4 or 5 hours knowing that's going to happen. So, yeah, that's a tough thing. All right, now it's time to find out who balled out. Hamilton, Randall. Watch this.
Rich mentioned it earlier. Sneaky, what do you call it? Sneaky athletic.
I mean, you told that perfectly.
The dunk, it was crazy.
I didn't know Grant had that in him. I was very surprised when I saw this video.
It just felt cleaner.
He had a moment. Two-handed it over the rim, looking down at it. That was really impressive. Here's Parker Watkins of Hickory Ridge, Randall. He got 2.
Yeah, I saw this one. I saw this one in person the other night. It was a lot of dunking going on here. You see the first putback for him right there.
We got to see it again.
Yeah, exactly. And
I got another one.
This is not a rerun right here though.
No,
this is not a rerun.
My man.
I mean, he was on the rim the other night. That's for sure.
Ashton Pierce out of North Mac. This dude is smooth.
And then Ashton Pierce, the sophomore just scoring it in a variety of ways here. He's really grown from his freshman to his sophomore year. Really excited to see the run that they make in the state playoffs for sure.
No, he's looking good. And watch this. Go get that young fella. Go get that.
He's up next for North Mac.
I like that. Well, North Mac always has somebody.
For sure.
They always have somebody up next. Well, if you got somebody to ball out, make sure you hit me on the DM, Langston Worst Jr. on all the social medias or on Charlotte Preps. And we definitely get you on. Now, since Gary checked in just for Coach versus Coach, we're really gonna put you on the spot because you have no idea what the questions are, Gary.
I hadn't seen the script at all.
Here we go. All right, let me get adjusted here, and so I'm gonna do like what we do in football season. We gotta have a coin flip. So Gary, you call it. I'm gonna flip the coin. What you calling?
Heads I win, tails he loses.
It's tails.
He loses.
Tails never fails, Coach Richmond. Don't you play Madden?
All right, So Randall, you kicking or receiving?
He going first.
He's going first. Let him. Oh, you sound like 8 Mile. He go first.
Yeah.
Bunny Rabbit got in trouble doing that. All right, Randall. Gary, you got to sit up though, man. The screen's cutting your face off.
Okay.
Gary, with the lack of the middle, there's not. We talked about the lack of middle class on the girls' side. There's also a lack of middle class on the boys' side. So the regular season has just kind of been okay. Rick made that point in our chat this week. You think the postseason is going to be better?
No, I don't. And here's why. our best teams in every conference, boys and girls, they get up once, twice, maybe every 4 weeks, because you have the 1 and 2 teams playing each other in the conference.
Yeah.
But after that, it's kind of ho hum, and a lot of times you build bad habits if you don't. Iron sharpens iron, and that's what we don't have in CMS this season. We don't have a lot of iron versus iron, at least once a week. At least we used to have it. Maybe you have an easy game on Tuesday, but you got a tough game on Friday. You have a tough game on Tuesday and an easy game on Friday. Now you got a tough game on Tuesday, and then you don't have another tough game until 2 Fridays away. And you can build bad habits. I know it gets your kids, your whole bench an opportunity to play, which, we like kids playing, but at the same time, you can build bad habits just because you're winning by large margins.
Randall?
And it's hard to get these kids up. I was speaking to a coach, and it literally sounded like an upcoming week for him was going to be a bye week, just because he's trying to get everybody healthy. And I was just thinking after I got done with the conversation, like, we don't really talk about that in basketball. That's more of a football thing. So I'm definitely hoping that it doesn't bite people in the butt come playoff time, because at that moment it's win or go home, and if you have one bad night, it could all come to a screeching halt.
It absolutely can. Absolutely can.
Just like Randall said, that's what a coach told me. The same thing. I'm not sure we're going to be ready for the playoffs just because we have so many easy games.
Yeah. Well, the playoffs are coming, sir. The playoffs are coming. Randall, coaches on all levels have gone casual on the sidelines. We got sneakers, we got sweats, we got pullovers. Is it time to get dressed up again?
No, I know Coach Richmond's going to be mad at me for this one. I don't care. Go coach your basketball team. If you want to go coach in a sweater vest, go coach in a sweater vest. If you want to go coaching some Nikes, go coaching some Nikes. I'm not worried about what you're wearing on the sidelines. Go coach your basketball team. That's all I'm worried about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew Randall was going to take that angle. And y'all know how I am when, I watched the Carolina play, and, half the team got on pink shoes and half the team got on green shoes. And I'm like, that's not even our school colors, And I know they say it's representing something, but tell us that before the game so we know. Instead of going out there looking like a bunch of AKAs. I just believe that you need to be. Don't make me laugh. You need to be.
Yeah, this is a serious matter.
Yeah, like you need to be. Uni means one.
Yeah,
that everybody looks alike. As far as coaches. The NBA coaches, they've had agreement. Okay, we're going to wear our team pullovers. Fine. But now I see in college, now you got some coaches wearing a suit, some wearing a sports coat, some wearing a team pullover. I just think whatever they choose to wear, I don't care if it's a team pullover or if it's a sports coat or, whatever. I think it should be a conference decision. Here's the decorum.
So everybody's the same. Everybody's the same.
Yeah, if coaches decide we're going to wear team pullover, I don't have a problem with it. Or if they decide we're going to wear a suit or a sports coat or a sweater vest or whatever they're going to wear, I just like uniformity. That's all I want is uniformity. I see some of the most disciplined teams I've seen always dressed alike, and that's the small things to get to the big things, and that's starting to lead. Even I've seen it at North and Chambers, and they used to always have team shoes. And now you got some guy over here got purple shoes, and some guy over here's got. It's not the team color. Come on now.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, Gary, since you're warm, let's come right back to you again. Should the NCHSAA start streaming selection Saturday each year when the parents come out? Would that be cool? Not?
Yes, definitely. I think since they have the technology, they definitely should do it.
I'll do it.
Yeah, I definitely think they should do it so there's no discrepancy.
No, we can do it right here on Talking Fraps if they want us.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. We know that the NCSHAA is getting ready their power is getting ready to be greatly reduced beginning next season.
Yes.
So to alleviate any tendency that there's some kind of conspiracy going on based on the legislature, let's open it up to the public so they can see that, everything is on the up and up, and it's not some politician behind the curtain pulling strings like the Wizard of Oz so that their school gets a better seating.
Yeah. Randall.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be fun. I think it's just another thing for kids to be able to enjoy, to get to see where you have to go, where you have to play at, what the bracket looks like. I think that people would enjoy it, and I agree with Coach Richmond and his point that, it would really help and show everyone that everything's on the up and up.
It would melt the servers too. That's one other thing it would do. Richard, Rich, I just got to ask you this question. I know that this is kind of close to your heart too. Coaches have gone casual. Do you think they should get dressed up again? You want to see the suit and ties again on the sideline?
I sort of miss the days where the coaches dressed up. It whether you're a high school coach or college coach, it separates you. And too many of the high school coaches and even college coaches look like AAU or travel ball coaches on the sidelines.
Well, when I coached AAU, I was in a nice sweatsuit just like this every time. So I kind of agree with it. AAU is hard though because you're out there all day long in AAU.
Yeah, you coaching 3 games a day.
I ain't gonna be in a suit. No, not just 3 games a day. One's at 9 o'clock, one's at 8 o'clock, one's at 9 in the morning, one's at 8 at night. And you going to lunch and dinner with all these sweaty kids. I'm just not gonna be wearing a suit. I did see a couple coaches that would wear suits when we used to play in DC. There was a big tournament every year in DC we used to go to, and they used to wear suits there. I mean, we were in the hottest gyms of the world. They'd be sweating up their suits.
In the summer,
I don't think travel ball coaches need to wear a suit or anything. They can be casual. I was just saying for high school.
I kind of agree with Gary. As a conference, we're going to decide to do that. Let everybody do it. It would kind of look funny to have like Christy, to the nines, and then Coach B over there in her Adidas sweatsuit like me. But I don't know. It doesn't bother me what they're doing right now. But I know
you could always tell how important the game was to me by how I dressed. Now I never wore a suit, but if it was a game that I knew I was going to win by 40, I might wear a sweater vest. Or a sports coat without a tie.
I think a lot of the girls coaches.
If it was important, a big game, I had on a tie, and I probably had on a suit.
No, there's a lot of coaches like that because you see them like really, really dressed up. Like when the playoffs come around, I do notice. I have noticed that over the years.
And my players always had on the same shoes. Always.
You weren't. That's because you wouldn't let them wear anything but the same shoes.
That's right. And the same socks.
All right, Rand. Time for your final thoughts.
I got to go check out some great high school basketball this week, and I love the atmosphere of some of these student sections. I know there's a lot of people that don't believe that student sections matter. I think they really do. Sometimes, and if you're going against a close opponent, there's definitely a thing as a home court advantage. So I just want to say to those student sections, you guys are doing a great job, and keep it up as your teams try to rally for this playoff run.
All right. Well, I actually stayed on time today, so Randall will be mad at me. So we're on time. Look, guys, a great show. We'll be back next week with another one. Make sure you go out to support your high school team this week, and we'll be back next week. That's Randall, the best trainer I know. That's Gary, my frat brother, and that is Rick Lewis, the #1 voice of high school basketball. And we are Talking Preps.